Hello, this is Christian here. In this video, let's take a look at some of the built-in string functions in PHP. We'll take a look at how you can get the length of a string, how you can change the uppercase and lowercase in a string, how you can trim white spaces in a string, both the front and the back, how you can reverse a string, a very powerful feature, how you can return a substring from another string, a very powerful feature as well. I'll also show you how you can split a string by another string, and then how you can join array elements with a string, and finally how you can replace the portion of a string with another string. Let's go and take a look. Well, before we go and do some examples, I want to show you this site again on php.net. Under the string functions, you would see that there's a lot of functions that are built into PHP that you can use to manipulate strings. Okay, so these again are very, very powerful functions that you don't have to create if you don't have to. Again, don't reinvent the wheel if the wheel is already invented, right? Unless, of course, you want to challenge yourself and write your own code to manipulate some of these features, then feel free to do so. But a lot of these are very, very powerful. I'm not going to be able to go through all of them, but I'll go through some of the important ones that you may encounter as you start coding in PHP. Okay, so here in the IDE, I'm going to create a new file. We will just call this string functions. All right, so the first one I want to show you is something that you already know and something you're already very familiar with. Is called the string length. So this one here returns the length of a string. Okay, length of a string. So it just counts all the characters, white spaces included, and returns that as an integer value. So if I have a string, say apple is sweet, okay, and then I want to know the length of that string, you could just basically do echo string len, and you pass the string to it, and that will return the length of that string. Again, for these demos, I'm not going to output to the browser for simplicity's sake. I'm just going to run in the terminal to show you how these functions work. But of course, in a real application, you would use these functions to manipulate strings and then do something with it before you output to the browser. So cd module 6, and then clear my screen, php string functions. So it tells you that there are 14 characters in this string here, including white spaces, okay? So that is pretty much it. That's all you have to do. Very simple like that. And you need this to, manipulate strings. Things like if you want to search in the string, if there's a certain characters in there, you need to know the size of that string so you can search character by character. Okay. So the next one is the trim. Trimming is for trimming white spaces. So again, I'm just going to use the same example here, and we'll put here trim. This one here trims or removes white spaces. Here, notice the word plural spaces, okay, in both front and back of string, okay? So if you have like the string here, again, if I put some spaces here, one space, and a lot of spaces here, if I want to trim that, then I can do string is equal to trim, and then put the trim here. And what it would do is it returns a string, a new string, and then you replace that to the old string again. So it doesn't really, replace this string. It regenerates a new string, and you need to return it to another string. So then, oops, it's not trim here, it should be str. And then I can echo that out again here so you can see the length of that string. And also the actual string itself. So I can do echo string, and then I'll also put the string length of that. So let's do something like this. I shouldn't use the parenthesis there. So put a /n, and then we'll see the string down here at the bottom. Okay, so let's save that and clear my screen down here. and run this script. Okay, so you see I didn't put the quote, the line break, but the length is 19, as you can see. I trimmed the string, removed the white spaces. Maybe I should have done one before too. /n. Let's do one more time down here. Okay, so you see the character is 19. I trim it, remove spaces both front and back, and then now it's just Apple is Sweet has back to 14 again, and then the length of that is 14. That's for trimming. If you only want to trim one side of the string, then you can use the L trim for the left or the R trim for the right. And it works the same way. So if you want to trim only the left side, then you use L trim here. And then if I print this out, you'll see that the result is now I just remove one white space, so I'm losing one spot, one character, so I'm down from 19 to 18. And then the white spaces on the right side is retained. I know you can't see here, but when I click on it, you'll see there's nothing here. Here I just do a single click. It doesn't show because it's empty space. And if you want to do the right, then you put the right trim here for R trim, and it will be just the opposite. So now you see that I remove characters from the right side by 4, and then you get to 15. So that's for the trimming. It's pretty straightforward and very useful sometimes. The next one I want to talk about is the lowercase, called the LC first. This one here, you lowercase the first character of the entire string. So if I go back to this original string here, and if I do here a LC first of that string, I'm expected to get the lowercase for the word apple here, and so it'll be in the case. I'll make this uppercase, okay? So we'll see what that looks like, and I'm not gonna do the size anymore. So let's see. So here we go. You see that the word apple has been lowercase to the lower a because I only do the first character, right? Lowercase first character. That's what it means. If you want to say change this to uppercase, then you can use the UC first, okay, for uppercase first. So here uppercase first, and then now you should get uppercase A, the first character. Notice it did not do the rest of that. If you want every word to be uppercase, like this, then you can use what's called the UC words. There's a function for words that will uppercase every first character of every word in the sentence or in the string. So I put here, instead of first, I put words. So it's plural, make sure. And then now you see that it should uppercase every character in the string. And so there it is. Apple is sweet. All right, pretty sweet, huh? Unfortunately, there's no lowercase words. I don't think there's one. I'm not sure why, but you may wonder why is that. Well, I'm not sure. Because there are other ways to do it, right? So like I'll show you next one. The next one, what if you want to lowercase everything? So you would use string to lowercase, right? So you use string to lower, then that's gonna put everything into lowercase. And then there's also string to upper. Change everything to uppercase. Okay, so again, use this one here. I'm gonna go in here, use string to lower, and then run that. You'll see that now you see everything is in lowercase. Okay, so that probably solves the previous question I asked you, right? And if you want everything to be uppercase, then you can just put here string to upper. Sometimes this is very useful. Useful in the case, as you can see, when you read a data input from the form and you want to compare whether the strings is equal to a certain string, because the user can enter a string in uppercase or lowercase or a mixture of them. So when you do that, you want to force the strings or characters to all uppercase or all lowercase, and you compare them that way. So it always works, right? So you don't have to say if string is uppercase A or string is lowercase a. You just say if string to upper the string equals uppercase A. Then just, you know, can kill two birds with one stone. Okay, so very useful in that scenario. Okay, so string to lower upper, it affects the entire string. Now, the next one is very, very interesting, and this one here is the substring. Okay, this one here returns a part of a string. We call this a part string. Is a partial or portion of a string, the substring, right? So again, apple is sweet. I'll change it back to the original string. So apple is sweet. Now, if I want to return a substring, the a little bit tricky here. So you can say something like, I want to return. This will be like abst substring. Okay, I'm gonna return this string from a certain position. Okay, so starting from position 0. So again, I mentioned in the other video that a string is very much like an array. So if you think of this as an array, you see this is a first position will be the index 0, index 1, index 2, and so forth all the way to index n. We have 14 characters, so this would be index 13. Okay, so if I'm starting the substring from this string here, starting from position 0, that means the first character inclusive, and then it's going to return everything from this position all the way to the end of that string if I don't provide a second number. So this one here will return the whole string. Okay, I'll clear that, and you'll see that this whole string is exactly what I see here. Okay, if I want to start, let's just say I want the word apple out of this string, then you have to count. Okay, so index 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so if you do the 1 to 4, then you will put here from 0 to so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically you counted the number of characters. I shouldn't say the position is how many characters you want. So I want 5 characters, right? So you want from here to here, it's 2, 4, 5 characters. So from that position, count 5 characters, right? And you're going to get the word apple out of that string. Okay, so the starting point, the length, or the size, number of characters you want to get. Okay, and so that's very, very useful. If you just want to get one character at a time, then you will put 1 here. Okay, so if I do that, then I only get the first character, which is the letter A. And you can see that, okay, so if I want to compare a character by character, then you can put this into a for loop, right? So you can say, you know, for I equals 0, I less than the length of the string. So you put string len of string, and then I plus plus. And you can print every character by character like that. And I'll put the echo here. So I echo every character out of that string using the for loop. Okay, so if I go down here, clear my screen, and you see that, oh, because I put the, I didn't put the I here. Starting from I, should say. Okay, start from I and only one character at a time. Let's try this again. Okay, well, something's not correct here. What happened here? So echo string. Oh, yeah, this is not gonna work. And this is a bug. Okay, a bug because I'm replacing the string with a new string. So this shouldn't be the way it is. It should be like, instead of string, I'm going to put new string. Okay, so I'm not replacing the old string. Okay, so let's one more time. So here we go. So I'm printing, it's a long string, apple, put a new line, too many new lines here, so every character is printed here to the screen. Okay, so that's how you would do, as one way to do it. You can get a substring. And if you want to grab 2 characters at a time, and you know what, let me just remove this one here, then you would put 2 here. So instead of 1 character, you put 2 characters. And then you can see that now I get 2 characters at a time, including white spaces, right? So here's AP, and then PP, PL. It duplicates because this I here only moves one at a time. So how do you make this, move 2 spaces at a time? Well, to do that, you have to increment I twice. Okay, so that means when I do the subscript here, I have to increment I one more time. So I can do that here and then increment it again here. So I have to go by 2, right? So now you see that it should work. Okay, so it's AP, PL, LE the space, SIS, and so forth. So very handy in that situation. Now, if you want to, so this is just one way. Okay, the other way, which is the easier way, is, I'm not sure easier or not. If you are looking for just one character at a time, if you want more than one character, this is the way to do it. If you just want one character at a time, then you do it this way. Let me close this. You would do, instead of substring, you just basically, you know what, instead of doing this, I'm going to comment the whole thing out. You just echo out the new string, the original string index of I. So you can see this is exactly how you access an array, even though this is not an array. Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, this should be correct. So let's clear the screen down here and run it again, so you can see that I print every character of the string one character at a time. Okay, so you can access it this way. So you can see how this is quite powerful when you are trying to access a single character at any position in the string here. Okay, so this part, I'm going to go back to where it was before. Notice again, I'm accessing the string from I to the end of that. Okay, if you just want, I'm going to exit out of the for loop here. Okay, I'm going to go back to where it was before. I'm done with the for loop here. So I'm going to go back to where it was before. Okay, so I want to, and let me just remove that. If I want to get the substring, I showed you the from 0, and then you count 2 characters, you get 2 characters at a time. If you want to count from the right side going backwards, not in reverse order, but you want to start from the left side, then you will use a negative number. Okay, so the third here will be a negative, the position will be a negative number. So instead of 0, if you put -1 here, that means if you take that out. If I start with a -1, that means I'm starting from the last character. You move from here, you move 1 character back. So this is the -1 position. So there's no -0, right? So this is -1 position, and then from here on, it's going to print all the way to the right of that. So what I'll get is just the letter T in that case. So if I clear my screen here, and you see they have, I did something incorrect here. Echo new string. Okay, try again. Okay, so you see the letter T is printed down here because I'm only doing the first character from the right side. If you go -2, well, guess what? I'm going to go, this is -2, and from here on, print everything from here to the left, to the right of that. So you're going to get the letter ET. Okay, you get ET here. Okay, and so you get the picture, right? And if you go like, if you're going to print the word sweet, you have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So -5, and that will print the word sweet, as you see here. If you just want to print the word, maybe like we, W-E, you will go 1, 2, 3, 4, -4. And then the third parameter here, I just want the count, how many characters. I want only 2 characters, so W-E. And then so now you get the word W-E out of that string. Okay, so you can see very flexible. You can do, from the front or the back, and you can choose how many characters you want to print and so on. So pretty interesting. Okay, so that's the substring. Now the next one is, I want to show you is the implode. Implode here is when you join array elements with a string. That means if you have an array of strings, so instead of this one here, I'm gonna probably, let's just, I'm just gonna replace that with a new string. So if I have a, let's just say, data is equal to an array of this. Apple is sweet, sweeter than pear, right? Something like that. So this is an array of elements, and usually if you want to join this as a string, well, you have to loop it through, right? So you have to say something like, str is equal to, data of 0, right? Plus, and then space. Or if you just want to get every character out of that, and then you will have to, you join that with a maybe a comma or something, with white space, doesn't matter. You can use the comma as white space, right? If you use white space, it would say here, and then data of 1, and so forth. Okay, I'm gonna only do my finger doesn't obey. Okay, I'm gonna copy and paste. I think it's not liking me here. Okay, so data 1, 2, 3. Again, you would do you use a loop here, but I'm just gonna do this 4 here, for example. Okay, and then we'll terminate here. If I echo it out, you see that I'll remove this. Okay, so now I see what that looks like. So you see the word apple with a space is space sweeter than. I didn't do the pear, right? So you can do it this way, and of course using a loop, right? But if you use the implode, then this is automatic. So that means I can do something like this. I would say str equals implode. Okay, my finger is not really obedient today, for sure. Implode, or imploding, I'm imploding, meaning I'm going to break the array from using what? If here I'm using white space, I put a white space character and then the array name, which is the data array. Okay, so what it will do is it will look into the array, break it out, every element, put into the string, join a string, separate each word or each element by a space character. So what you will get is exactly the same as you see here. So as you can see exactly here, I have the word pear added now because of the implode. You can change this to a different character if you want. You can use like a comma, so it will be a comma separated string, right? So it may be useful for that as well. You can use it as as CSV or a pipe symbol. It doesn't matter. If you want any other words, you can do like it doesn't matter, like that, right? Because you have the liberty to do that however you do it. So as you can see, it takes all the elements out and joins into a new string. So quite useful. Now the opposite of this is the explode. Okay, explode is you are basically splitting a string. So you're splitting a string here with another string. Okay, so instead of doing this one here, I'm going to go back to what I had earlier, and I'll remove all these here. Put it somewhere else because it's kind of messy here. I'll put it right below down here so we don't get to see there ever again for now. Okay, so implode, and then it's the opposite of explode. So I'm going to keep that. So explode. Okay, so explode here, it's going to take the delimiter. Delimiter means what am I exploding at? So if you think about this string here, it's a string of words or something, right? Characters. Explode means you're going to hit something. Imagine if you had a hammer and you focus on this string here and you say, okay, I'm going to break this string in two pieces. And where do I break it? Or at the space right here. So every space I can see in this string here, I'm going to look at that space, find the space, and break it from there, and break it into their own separate strings. What you'll do is that what you'll get in return, though, is going to be an array of elements. So each of these word or phrase or substrings will be saved into a substring, into an array. So again, you're going from this to the data and the array here. Okay, so this string will be an array. So I'm going to put here not the array, but I'll put here, put string array. So we know that's an array instead of string. Okay, and then down here, I'm going to echo the string, which is this one here, and I'm also gonna do a print r, so it's formatted. I'll print the string array, so we can see the data inside is the array. I'm going to implode, or I'm explode the string with a space. So find every space, break of that, and then you provide the data to explode. So here it is. Find every single white space character and break off from there. So it's going to go here, oh, there's one, and then you cut this out. Whatever is remain on the left, this piece will be stored inside the first element in this case, and then it moves to the next one. Keep finding, oh, there's another one, and then it moves this part, stores into the next element, and it finds the end of that, oh, this, we're done, and then stores this into the next element. So I'm going to get 3 elements in the array. Okay, so let's save this and go down here and clear the console and run it. So here we go. You see that the string is apple is sweet, and then when I print the string array out, we have the word apple is sweet is exploded, right? And then put into an array of elements. So pretty cool, huh? If you put 2 spaces, you should get none because you're going to find 2 white spaces and there's none in there. So if I do it again down here, run it, you see that it's none. So the whole thing returns as a single element and stores that into the array. Okay, so explode returns an array, the implode returns a string. That's the reverse of each other, right? So this is very, very useful, especially when you have some kind of string that, you know, like in HTML, for example, like p tags, apple is sweet, and you want to replace or you want to remove all the elements, all the HTML elements to a certain spot. So you can say, okay, I want to grab all the p tags and move them out and into their own, separate places. So now you can see that I have split it into their own. I move, so I find that there's nothing there basically. But if I do find another one, it's gonna break that off. So look at that. Okay, there's nothing on the left, so empty string. And then from here on, I didn't find a matching p, so the whole thing gets returned. Okay, so that's one way to do it. And then the other way is if you, let me go back to the original string I had earlier. So notice again, I'm using a white space here. Okay, in the string. Now there's another parameter over here. Okay, the parameter here tells you the limit. Limit means how many of these should I store. If you leave it blank initially like this, then the default is unlimited. That means it's going to return all the one that I find. So if it's apple is sweet, it's going to keep looking until I find all the spaces. If it says sweeter than pear, right? If I do this, I'm going to get a string of element of array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements, right? And that should be true. So here I have 5 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to get only 3 of them, then you put the limit over here. Say, okay, I just want the first 3 occurrence. Okay. If you find 3, stop. If there's only 1 or 2, then return all those because it's still less than 3, right? So if I do that, then now we only get 3 of them. So you can see that it finds the first one, the second one, the third one, done. And then because I already have 3, so the rest of this will be returned as the end piece. Okay, so it won't break that part anymore because I already have 3 elements. So number of elements returned. Okay, so you get 3 pieces here. So the last one is not broken off. So you can put some limit there, and again, it's quite useful in that situation. If you want to put something, if it's a negative number instead of a positive number, if you put a negative one here, that means omit the last one. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. If I save that and run it, you'll see that now it has the words apple is sweeter than, because pear is the last one, it means omit the last one, right? Everything from here to the end of that, but don't include the last one. What if you put -2? What do you think that's going to happen? Well, let's see, right? Omit the last 2. Okay, so very powerful, very handy in many situations. All right, so the last one I want to show you here is the string replace. This is a very powerful string function where you replace strings with other substrings or other characters and so forth. So it's going to return a new string. Okay, so let's see. If I have, for example, I'm going to write something a little bit fun. Maybe something like, what should we call it? Let's go biking. Okay, let's say I have that string, let's go biking. Okay, so now to replace this string with a new string, then I'm going to say something like, so I put string replace. What am I replacing with? I'm replacing, as you can see, the first is the replace, the subject, and then the count, and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to replace, let's just say I'm going to replace the letter B. This is a replacement. What am I looking for? I'm looking at the letter B in this string, or in this case, all letter B's. I have only one B, so it's going to replace only this B here. And replace the letter B with another letter called H, hiking, right? Inside the string called str. Okay, so what I do is going to go into the string and look for every character for every letter B, and then replace it with the new letter here, H. So I'm going to get a string to say, let's go hiking instead of let's go biking. And let's see. Okay, so you can see that this is the original string, and I replaced the H, the B with an H, so I get let's go hiking. Okay, quite interesting, right? Very, very powerful. What if I wanted to replace, maybe like 2 characters? Okay, you can replace 2 characters too. I wonder how you would do this. Instead of 2 characters, let's just say I want to replace, 2 words in one time, right? So let's just say instead of saying let's go biking, we can say, I want to change it to say something like this. He's going hiking. Okay, so from this to this. So what am I replacing? Well, I'm going to replace the word let with he, and then, go with going, and then biking with hiking, or letter B with letter H, basically, right? So here, then, what I can do is the search here can be an array, okay, of elements. Replace the same position in each of those elements. So what am I replacing here? So I can say here, you can put here directly if you want an array. The first word is the word let. The second is the word go. And the third is just the letter B. Okay, I've replaced that with the new array, maybe he. And then the second word is instead go, be going. And then the letter H. Okay, we'll see if this is true. Save that and run down here. So here we go. It says, let's go hiking. Original phrase has been changed to his going hiking. Okay, so this is quite fun actually. If you look at this, I put it here as a array literal here. You could use this as an array. Okay, so you can say something like how do you say old string O, and then replace it O equals that, and then of course you can place it with new, right? So you can see new, and just to get the same thing. Okay, and so you can see if I run that, I get the same string. So that's quite powerful. You can see I'm not only replacing a single character or a single substring, but I can place multiple of them using arrays. That's pretty powerful. Yeah, so I think that's all I want to show you. So these functions and plus many others you can use to manipulate strings and work with arrays as well. One of the advantages that you can use is to use string is to, for example, check if a string is a palindrome. palindrome is it's a string that can be, if you haven't heard of it before, basically it's a string that can be spelled both backwards and forward, right? So for example, level, right? This is a palindrome because I can spell in either direction. But if you put like lib, it's not, right? Or ace is not. So something like that. How do you do that? Well, you can check every character for the first character against the last character, and you can move the counter on the left side and the right side until they overlap. And each character is the same, then you say the word is palindrome. Otherwise, it's not, right? So the last one I'll show you, actually, I should have been this. I thought this was the last one, but one thing I want to show you is the reverse of the strings. So here, okay, so let's just say I want to reverse a string. So I have a new string equals a string reverse, string rev. I'm reversing the string co-str. And if I would echo the string and also echo the new string, let me comment that out. And if it's correct, those should be reversed. So let's clear the screen here. And here we go. I reversed the string. Let's go back into whatever that is. Okay, so quite helpful. And once you do that, you can check if they are equal, then a word that is palindrome, otherwise it's not, right? All right, so these are some of the strings functions built into PHP that you can use to manipulate strings. It's quite powerful. So I highly encourage you to go back to the website and explore all of them.